There's a lot that goes into a successful innovation strategy, and Alberto Galasso, a professor of strategic management at the Rotman School, has looked at plenty of these factors over the years. From a company's location.
For example, you may develop a great new technology, but if there is no investor in that area that is specialized in that technology, can understand the technology, that is willing to invest in that particular technology area, then you're in trouble.
To the talent pool.
We were talking about university and presence of specialized labor that is linked to the technology that you're developing.
Even a CEO's level of overconfidence.
Literature was able to identify CEOs that were overconfident, and they were doing, for example, excessive mergers and acquisition. They were building too many plants. They were expanding the company too much, and so on. We started looking at the decision of these companies to invest in R&D, the type of patents that these companies were filed, the changes in the type of directional technology we were using. We found that the very same CEO that were, on one hand, destroying value of the company with some strategies, they were actually very good in innovation. And not only they were just investing more in research, but also way more likely to kind of obtain high valuable technology, high valuable patent. We're more likely to explore new technology areas and so on.
He's even written a book on the topic.
Yes, the book is called The Management of Innovation. Tries to give an overview essentially of research findings that can be useful for managers in organization and for founders of startup on how to make their organization more innovative and how to manage the technologies that they generate.
And while a book's worth of stuff can shape a company's approach to innovation, for Alberto, there's one element that's consistently underappreciated: the IP strategy. So what is an IP strategy? How does it shape innovation? And what should leaders be asking themselves as they consider the best path forward? Welcome to the Executive Summary. I'm Megan Haynes, editor of the Rotman Insights Hub. Let's start with some high-level terminology. IP stands for intellectual property. And while this is a really theoretical concept or term for what amounts to the protection of ideas, IP really underpins almost all innovation, since at its core, innovation is new ideas.
IP is essentially a set of rights that the government give you if you develop a new technology or in general new creative content.
There are a few types of IP, but the important ones to note are patents and copyright. Patents are a blueprint people file with their local patent offices that protects their invention or discovery. It might be the circuit board design of a new microchip, the mechanism of how a new tool operates, or the formula for a newly discovered medicine. And once your application is approved,
you get this document that is a patent that for 20 years allow you to be the only one to essentially use or sell or produce the technologies.
Copyright, on the other hand,
that is related to creative work. So if you write a book, the recording of this podcast, music, movies, those are protected by copyrights.
Think of copyright protection as the thing that safeguards movies, music, and books from being replicated. But it also protects the code that underpins software, particularly relevant in today's hyper-digital business environment.
Companies have been using IP for a long period of time, but has been always seen as something important for lawyers, important to have everything in order in terms of paperwork, something that it was considered by managers and executives in some industries, but it was not probably one of the top 5 things on the mind of CEOs.
But that has really changed over the past 20 years.
In 2004, there was an interview that was done to Bill Gates, and he said, we need to start changing our approach to IP. It's not just something important for lawyers. This is really what will drive competition and what will drive growth of companies in the future.
Gates proved to be right. In 2022, the World IP Organization estimates that more than 3.4 million patents were filed globally, with China, the US, Japan, Korea, and Germany leading the charge. Some of the biggest companies in the world, including Samsung, IBM, Huawei, and Apple, are among the top patent filers per year. Use of IP protection is particularly strong in certain types of industries, like electronics, telecommunications, pharmaceuticals, and medical devices.
So today, if you look at the largest companies in the stock market, estimates are that 80% of their value is driven by intangible assets, or things like IP, knowledge that you can protect, rather than their plants, their equipment, and so on.
But it's not just large organizations that derive benefit from strong patent strategy. IP protection can make or break a startup.
There are several recent studies that have shown that for a small firm, a startup in particular, IP can be really important for the success of your company. If your first patent application is successful, they are 50% more likely to get VC capital. They are more than 100% more likely to grow and end up being publicly traded. So there are huge effects that have been estimated on the success of companies.
So what does it mean to get your IP strategy right? A 2015 study out of Yale found that 60% of all patent applications in the US are eventually approved, and Canada sees similar numbers. That sounds like a pretty high success rate. But that same Yale study found that 90% of applications were originally fully or partially rejected, which means they had to go through a review and resubmission phase. That's not great since patent applications in the US take anywhere from 22 to 48 months to be approved, and it can take up to 6.5 years here in Canada. That's a long time to sit on a novel new idea or invention. So with that in mind, Alberto says that to get your IP strategy right, you have to have a plan from the get-go.
I'm one of the economists involved with the Creative Destruction Lab. I see several startups that need to think through their intellectual property strategy. And it's very easy sometimes not to consider that a priority. There are so many other things that you need to do as a startup. And you think, okay, we're going to figure out a way to file a patent application. But then you need to understand that if you don't file a patent that is well-defined, you're going to then regret and not have the protection that you were hoping to get. Or even worse, your patent is not granted or is granted with very long delay and so on. From a broader perspective, to get it right means to, first of all, have a good understanding of where you want your company to go. What is your objective as a manager that you want your company to achieve? And then you want to make sure that the IP strategy aligns with these objectives.
How you approach your strategy for IP will be very dependent on your overall goal for the organization. Is the goal for you to A, be the industry leader, successful because you created and sold something that now dominates the market, or B, is your goal to be acquired by a bigger company and take the big payout? Both are valid strategies, but you need to be clear on which one is most important because that will change the way you approach your IP protections.
Do you want the intellectual property to protect what you have and make sure nobody else enter that space so that you can grow and become really the industry leader on that space? Or do you want IP that make you attractive as a target for an acquisition so that your portfolio should fit very well with the portfolio of these other companies that may attract to you?
And IP protection may not even be the right strategy for you.
A number of startup companies that I talk to are struggling between, should I file a patent to protect my technology or should I just keep it secret? An alternative to IP strategy is trade secrecy. By just keeping your technology secret, you essentially also can protect your technology.
Remember, patents only grant the rights holder 20 years of exclusive use.
If you're able to keep something secret for a long time, then you can have protection for much longer, 20 years. For example, Coca-Cola, they've been able to keep their formula secret for decades. If they had a patent on it, then now everybody could use the formula.
And IP protection is only as strong as the country with which you've filed. So if you're in a region that doesn't go after patent infringements harshly, you might actually be better off with a trade secret strategy. There is a cost, of course. Trade secrets means you actually have to invest in protecting your secrets, and that can mean having to go with multiple vendor partners so that no single one understands your entire process. It can mean paying a premium for talent so that you know the secrets won't leave with them if they pursue better paid work elsewhere. It's actually harder to share your technology openly with other inventors, which means you're not going to be able to gain knowledge from those outside your organization about how to improve on your own work. And other inventors might get to your original idea on their own, either by fluke or through reverse engineering. And if you don't have IP protection, then you're out of luck. But importantly, a trade secret strategy can make it infinitely harder to get funding.
Then it creates a lot of problems for you when you interact with investors or with buyers or with suppliers, for example. Sometimes the startup they have a great idea, but the investor says, look, I'm not investing in your company because I don't understand your technology. And you don't want to tell me about your technology because you're worried about the trade secrecy. And that I saw it happening several times.
While it's important to safeguard your intellectual property, Alberto says it's equally important to think about the role that IP plays in boosting organizational innovation. The first thing he points to is the rich patent databases that exist in the world. They are treasure troves of information that not enough people are mining.
Patent data are free, are available very easily, and these are very useful source of information. Because firms typically first patent their technology and then they sell or use the technology. So it gives you information on the technologies that are going to be sold and used in the future. It tells you what type of technologies are companies working on. How are they specializing on something? By looking at their patents, you may understand where they intend to go in the next few years, what type of products they may likely launch and what they don't. It may help you understand things like location decisions, like you want to decide whether to locate your startup here in Toronto or to move somewhere else by looking at how much innovation activity is in a particular area. For example, how many patents are filed in a particular geographical area. Is there expertise there in that area or not? Are there competitors there or not? And so on.
While bigger organizations have plenty of money to do market research on their competitors, smaller startups often lack these resources, so why not take advantage of these free databases? Secondly, Alberto has found that many successful innovative companies use patents in their incentive structure.
Several companies have been using patents as a way to design then compensation bonuses for their scientists and engineers. Saying, okay, if you file a patent or multiple patents this year, then you're getting a big bonus.
He warns this strategy isn't without its risks. First, you may end up incentivizing people to chase easy wins, those smaller but more guaranteed patent filings, rather than the bigger risks that may or may not result in anything. It can also discourage people within organizations from working together, since they may be chasing that same limited reward. But it is a successful approach to encouraging innovation.
The literature seems to show that they tend to work. So usually companies that do it, you see that they tend to generate more patents after they implement these schemes.
Finally, at its core, patents safeguard the inventor. This can give them or their organizations the peace of mind that they are protected and allows them to continue to invest in more innovations. But IP protection also allows for greater absorptive capacity, which Alberto says is a critical component of many highly innovative companies.
Several studies have shown is really important is what is called in the management literature absorptive capacity. The idea that in order to be very innovative as a company, you need to invest in the ability of your company, of your engineers, of your scientists to learn. So things like sending your scientists and engineers to conferences, collaborating with universities, sending some of your employees to seminars and courses to be sure that they are at the frontier of the scientific development in your field. Even companies develop great technologies, they sometimes kind of lose their innovative edge if they become insular. If they say, okay, we're just specializing this thing, we lose track of how the field evolves. We're not really at the frontier in terms of research. That can create problems.
In effect, IP protection gives you the air cover to go out into the world, share, and learn from others. which is possibly one of the most important elements in fostering innovation.
Licensing of patents is the most common way in which firms exchange technology and share technologies. So collaboration in most industries really take place by sharing IP across firms. They allow you to write contracts that make sure and clear what type of technology you share and what type of technology you don't, and what are the kind of compensation for particular users of technology or not. So from that perspective, it is a crucial asset, this intellectual property, to protect the area that are more valuable of your company, but also to share technology and access technology with other firms for which you want to collaborate.
This has been Rotman Executive Summary, a podcast bringing you the latest insights in innovative thinking from Canada's leading business school. Special thanks to Professor Alberto Galasso. Join us next month as we chat with Professor Julie McCarthy about stress, resilience, and leadership. This episode was written and produced by Megan Haynes. It was recorded by Dan Mazzata and edited by Avery Moore-Kloss. For more innovative thinking, head over to the Rotman Insights Hub and subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon. Thanks for tuning in.